Hey Ariel. So tonight we're gonna stick with a little bit of anatomy. We did part of like the spinal muscles last week, and this week we're gonna do one of my favorite muscles, um, the trapezius. So this muscle, let's see if I can focus it, it's a little shiny, is this muscle right here. So it's going to run from your neck over to the shoulder and then down the spine. And so it runs, sorry, it's kind of blurry, there we go. It runs in 3 different ways, and it has a lot of different functions that we're going to talk about. So you could feel it if you just feel like right along the back of your neck and then trace it along your collarbone out, along the back side of your body. And then it's kind of hard to feel on your back. But the neck part is really easy to feel. It's a big bulk of muscle if you go with your head back and forth or side to side. And so since it serves a lot of different functions, it can cause a lot of problems if it's too tight or not toned enough. And so throughout this practice, we're going to be working with the trapezius in multiple different ways to see if we can kind of tease out where it's causing problems or maybe relax it as well. So let's get into a little breath work so we can be centered in our practice and get with that. So you could do it seated or lying down, totally up to you. And then just close your eyes or have a soft gaze towards the floor. And start to notice your breath without changing anything. Notice if it's a shallow breath or if you feel like you get a full, deep breath. And then start to take an inhale in through the nose. And then pretend like you're trying to fog up a glass mirror, like, and you feel that slight constriction of your throat. So it's like or it sounds like Darth Vader on the exhale. And then eventually, if you can still get that same breath, that constriction of the back of the throat on the exhale, you're going to keep the mouth shut on the exhale. So it's going to be an inhale in through the nose. Exhale, closed mouth. Still pretending like you're fogging up that glass. And so you can really hear that exhale internally. And it's kind of like that Darth Vader or like I don't know, it's just that tightening of the throat that we're going for. And this breath is called Ujjayi breath. I'm going to do 3 more of those. And coming back into your regular breath when you're done. Good. So I'm going to quickly go over how the trapezius moves our body so that you have an idea of what it does when we're in the movements itself. So you can try these movements and see if you can start to pinpoint how that muscle runs in your own body. So the first one that it does is that you're going to be able to bring your head back. And that's part of the trapezius muscle with that movement. Okay. The second movement that it does is that it's going to flex your head side to side. So like if you're trying to hold a cell phone between your shoulder and your ear, that's the same movement. There's the trapezius again. It also rotates your head from side to side. So as you're doing this movement, just start to check in with like, okay, do I feel tight here? Is this irritating to me? Do you find yourself doing some of these movements throughout the day? So we got back, side, and a rotating so far. And then it also is connected to the scapula, like your little chicken wings on the back. So it's going to lift up your shoulders. It's going to put your shoulders down, so up, down, a little elevator. And then it's also going to, like when you lift up your arms, you feel that scapula rise up, and then you can squeeze your shoulder blades towards your back. So it'd be like, if you're trying to stand like up tall, like in military where they say pull your shoulders back, that's your trapezius muscle. So that's a lot. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 movements that just the trapezius is doing. So you can see why you might have a lot of tension, because that's controlling this whole section of your body. So let's get into some movements and see how it feels with all of that. So we're going to start lying down. I like to have the pillows under my torso, so from my hips all the way up to my shoulders. You can have a folded blanket, whatever, just something comfy, because we're going to be here for a little bit doing some poses. Get yourself comfortable on your mat. And then you can rest the forehead. I like to stack my fist, just give a little extra height to my head so I can have some room to breathe. And as you're here lying on your belly, take some deep breaths. Good. We're going to come into Cobra. And Cobra is a classic yoga pose that is done in pretty much every class, but it's a great one for this backwards movement of the head. So go ahead and bring your hands to your side, kind of by your shoulders, elbows down by the side. Head is resting on the floor. And then you're just going to start to lift the forehead off the mat and pause here. And go back on down. And I want you to just lift the head to that initial movement where you feel the muscles along the neck, that trapezius, start to engage. And so maybe you bring one hand behind the neck and you feel that initial like spark of the movement. And then lower the head back down to relax. Do it 2 more times. And maybe you come up a little higher just to get into that movement. And then as slowly as you can, you start to release that. Good. Nice and slow up. And even slower to come down. If at any point during this class you start to feel like nauseous or dizzy, or any other signs start to show up, just ask yourself, should I keep going, or is this going to cause more harm? And if it is, then just stop, relax, take a breather. Good. Relax the hands. You can put the hands out long and then just roll the forehead, rolling the head side to side a couple times. Seeing if it's tight in there. And this is a place where we hold a lot of tension and stress. Our shoulders are tugged up towards the ears. Maybe we feel cockeyed with our head to one side or the other. And so we're just trying to melt all of that away. Good. All right, let's come into the cobra again, adding a little bit to it. So this time, you're gonna focus on that space between your shoulder blades. So right at the middle of the spine, you're gonna start to see if you can squeeze the shoulder blades together. So the hands are by your side. Squeeze the shoulder blades back like you're trying to be in the military, standing upright. And then the forehead comes off the ground, and you're able to lift your shoulders off the mat. And then easy does it back down. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Lift the head. Head stays in alignment with the rest of the spine. And then you come back down. Relax the shoulders away from each other. Head comes all the way down. And as you release the shoulders and you relax the head, you can feel that contraction, that tension from the trapezius let go. There's no sense to have a contraction anymore. Relaxed. Let's do it one more time. Squeeze the shoulders back. Lift the head. Come on up. This is cobra pose. This is like a classic yoga pose that you would do. And then all the way back down. Good. We're going to do one more pose on our bellies. So if you need to take a little break, you can do that as I explain. But we're going to come into locust pose. So locust pose is also known sometimes as like Superman. It's a little different with the arm situation, but we'll do both. So from here, let's start with our arms down by our side. And you're going to do the same thing that you did in cobra, but this time we're going to have our arms down here. So squeeze the shoulders together, lift. You can lift the hands off if that feels comfortable. Keep the spine in alignment, and then back down. So we've got the top half. Let's do the bottom half. So squeeze your glutes together, squeeze the butt cheeks, squeeze your ankles together, and see if you can lift your feet off the mat, and then back down. Good. One more time. Squeeze the glutes, lift, squeeze the thighs, ankles, feet together, and lift up. Back down. So let's put it together. You're going to squeeze the glutes, squeeze the shoulder blades, lift the shoulders and the legs up, and you're in locust pose. So if you want to go into Superman, you want to fly a little bit, you can just bring the arms above the head. And you feel how that changes the shoulder blade and the trapezius muscle. So you can try what you like better. Locust pose here, or Superman here. So go ahead and relax. Those poses are super good to get strength on the back side of your body. So if you feel like you're always crunched over, or you do a lot of work from your core and your shoulders, then maybe you focus on the back line a little bit more. Okay. So now we're going to come to a seated position. You can either sit on the floor or sit in a chair. It's going to be the same exact movement. It's just where you're comfortable at. Okay. So at the beginning of class, we talked about rotating the head, and we did that super quickly just as a little check-in to see where we were at. So now we're gonna break it down, take it slow, and see if there's any spot that you might get stuck, that the trapezius might be a little hairy at, it's not fully at its full capacity for function. So let's start with the head going towards the left. And so just make sure that you're sitting up in a comfortable position to start with. And then let's slowly turn that head to the left. And maybe you bring your right hand to the neck and the shoulder area. And you can start to feel how the trapezius is moving. Taking it over the left shoulder again. And you can feel on both sides of the neck as well. One more time. Nice and slow, you bring it back. So even as I start to turn my head and rotate it towards the side, when I come back, I start to feel those twitches in the trapezius. And that's just meaning, okay, there could be some extra work here to make it more efficient, to make this muscle work to contract and then come back and release when it's needed and not have to overexhaust itself. So the more I practice these movements, the easier it's going to get and the better it's going to feel. So if you're feeling those, just be conscious of it and see what's happening. Let's go to the other side. Taking that chin over the right shoulder, nice and slow back. Good. 2 more times. Over the right shoulder. Nice and slow back. Last time. Good. And then just compare sides. So for me, it was a lot easier to relax on this side, but it was harder to go into the contraction. So it tells me something's probably up with the right side of my right trapezius. Something's tight there. And let's take it back and forth between the 2 sides. Left, bring it back, pause at center, and then over to the right. And the slower you go, the reason we go slow in Soma yoga is because you get so much feedback as to what's actually happening in your body. One more way, one more each direction. And then I just like to tuck my chin down towards my chest. Let yourself relax there for a second. Decompress from all that twisting. Maybe close the eyes. Let the eyes relax. And slowly lift the head back up. And just check in, see how you're feeling. maybe you feel the trapezius more online, like it's more alert and awake than it was before we started. All right, let's do another movement, sitting down. So now we're gonna start to drop the head, leading with that ear over to the right shoulder. And again, you can start to feel the stretch on the left side of the neck, all the way across the shoulder. And then on the right side, you feel this contraction, this tightness from the neck across the shoulder. Bring it back up. 2 more times. Bring it over to the right. Feel the difference from side to side. And then back on up. Last time. Good. We're going to bring this right shoulder up towards the ear this time. Still using the trapezius, but just in a little different manner. So you're letting that shoulder right up like it's going straight up an elevator, and then straight down. So you don't want the shoulder to come in towards your chest. If it's doing that, imagine that you have a pane of glass here and a pane of glass on the back, and it can only slide up and down between that pane of glass. Couple more times here. And as you come down this next time, see if you can send the shoulder away from the ear. So this time you're going to depress it like it's going down some floors on an elevator. And then back up. Good. Let's combine these 2 movements of bringing the head over and the shoulder up. So we're going to drop the head towards the right shoulder and lift the right shoulder up. So they kiss, and away they go. And maybe you'll notice that either the head can come up a little bit more to center, or maybe you notice that the shoulder can actually relax further away from the ear. So you find, so come back into it, little space here, but you find some extra space for the trapezius to rest. And it feels really nice when you find that release. 1 more time. Resting at center, comparing the right side, the side that we just did, to the left side. And in my own body, I can feel this extra space. I don't feel as much tension pulling on my neck from my shoulder as I do on the left side. So let's try it on the left side. Dropping the left ear towards the left shoulder. Bring it back up. 2 more times. Back up. Last time here. Feeling that stretch on the right side, contraction on the left, and as you come up, notice if your head feels centered, or if you can toggle it one way or the other. And then let's add the shoulder, or just do the shoulder. Bring the left shoulder up, as you lift that shoulder up, you're going to feel it at that corner of where the shoulder and the neck meet, as well as on the back at your scapula. So that little chicken wing bone on your back. Back on down, a couple more times. And if you feel those twitches, come up into it a little bit tighter and just release like halfway. And then release all the way. So just play with it a little bit. And maybe if it's really struggling, you bring your right hand into it and you let your hand guide your shoulder. Good. Let's combine the two. So now we're going to drop the ear towards the shoulder, lift up the shoulder, and then easy does it. Let them float away from each other. Good. A couple more times here. And then you can just rotate the head in circles if that feels good. Get out all those little kinks that you might have. Good. Okay. From here, we're going to do one last seated position. So if you're on the floor and you need to move to a chair, or shove another pillow under there for comfort, you can do that. But we're going to do a little bit with the shoulders. Again, so like we did when we were laying on the floor in Cobra, we started to squeeze the shoulders towards our back line. I want you to do that again. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And then super slow, let it relax. And ask yourself, can I relax anymore? Find that extra release, and then come back into it. Release it. 2 more times. Shake it out, roll the shoulders, roll the head. Check in with how you're doing. And we're going to start to transition to tabletop. So tabletop you can either do on all fours on your hands and your knees, or you can do it at a chair where you're here. So totally up to you. I'm going to do it on the floor with some pillows under my knees. So I'll give you a little bit of time to get there. So let's come into a couple cat-cows. So regardless if you're on the floor or using the chair, you can come into cat-cow. You're going to start to tuck the tailbone, round through the spine, drop the head, and gently push away from the floor or the chair. So you feel the shoulder blades coming away from the spine. Back to neutral. And let's take it in the opposite direction. So then you're going to press your tailbone up, get that arch in your low back, lift the head, and squeeze those shoulder blades towards the spine, like the military stance. And then come in the opposite direction, nice and smooth into your cat. Other direction, cow. Good. One more each direction. So, if you are using a chair, I'm going to give you a slightly different variation of what we would do on the floor. So, if you're on the chair, you can just go ahead and stand up. I just want you to bring your right arm across your body and hold it here. If you're on the floor, you're going to lift up this right arm and bring it under and through and down to the floor. So that's thread the needle. You're going to get the same cross body feel here standing. So you're going to start to feel this right scapula come away from the spine and get a little stretch along the arm. If you're in thread the needle, go ahead and come back up and switch sides. So you lift the left arm up, thread it through behind the arm, bring that shoulder down, and your right arm can come out in front of you. If you're standing, just switch arms, bring this left arm across the body here. So this is more of a static pose, where we're holding the pose, and that's what most of the stretches that are common are, is a static pose. Whereas in Soma yoga, we're doing a lot of dynamic stretching, moving with the stretch and the pose. So there's pros and cons to both movements. So go ahead and come out of that one, and we're going to meet. Everyone's going to be standing. As you come to standing, you can just take some free movement, whatever feels good. Ask your body what it's needing. It's kind of like when you wake up in the morning. What are those little movements that your body intuitively knows to do to make your body feel good? So sometimes we just need to move the body. We're so stagnant throughout our days. Maybe it's a little dance. Maybe you make up a little jig. Good. Okay. So I teach Soma yoga, obviously, but I also teach a lot of vinyasa classes, and vinyasa is just a flow. And so tonight I thought it would be fun to add a sun salutation and modify it for Soma yoga. And since we're using the Trapezius and it controls the shoulders, we're going to just do the upper body for the sun salutation. So we're going to incorporate some breath with it, with the movement. So you can watch me for the first one and then join in when you feel like you've got it. So you're going to lift your arms as you take an inhale. Exhale, hands come together down through here. Inhale, you lift the arms again. And then exhale, we're just going to take a little forward fold here. And pause here. Inhale, stay here. Exhale, rise up. Inhale, hands come together. Inhale, up. Exhale, forward fold. Good. Inhale, rise up. You feel the scapula go across your back. Exhale, relax. Inhale, lift the arms. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise up. Feel those trapezius. Exhale, hands to heart center, mountain pose. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, one last time, hands to heart center. Inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift it up. Arms go up above your head so that they're about shoulder distance apart. You don't need to touch your hands. And then your feet are hip distance apart. So if you need to adjust those, adjust those. And squeeze your glutes together and squeeze the shoulder blades down your back. So you're letting those shoulders ride down the elevator. And then just take a little bend to the knees. Chair pose. If it's a lot to hold the arms up, you can goal post the arms, a little cactus. See how that takes some weight off. Or you can bring the hands to heart. Go ahead and sit up. Let the arms relax. So with the trapezius being attached to the scapula, it controls this movement of letting our arms come up and stay up. So as we lift the arms up and we come into a chair pose, you can feel the tightness, if you drop one arm and feel, of the trapezius muscles. So now we're in another classic yoga pose, chair pose. And in chair pose, I want you to have this neutral spine. So if it just means you come here, or you lower the arms out in front of you, great, I love it. And you can play with where you want your arms, YMCA, whatever you want, okay? Go ahead and relax. Shake it out. Good. Okay. One more standing pose before we go back to the floor. So the last one we're going to do is called eagle arms. It's a nice stretch across the back and a comforting little hug for the front. So go ahead and bring your arms out to a big wide T. And then you're going to cross your right arm on top of the left, right above the elbows. And then if you can, you're going to wrap the arms so that you're here and you can cross your hands. If you can't cross the hands, just bring them as close as you can. And then from here, we're going to lift up the elbows and let the shoulders ride down the elevator. So now you're in eagle arms. And you can feel, I'm sure, that stretch across the back. Take a deep breath in and out. Let the arms open up, fly open. Exhale, left arm crosses over the right. Cross up the hands if possible. Inhale, you lift elbows up. Exhale, elevators take the ride down, or shoulders take the elevator ride down. And even as you feel this stretch across the back, you can feel the tightness of the muscles kind of in the shoulder and neck area as you hold the arms up. Good. Open up, fly open. Shake it out. Good. We're going to meet on our back. And we're going to do just a couple poses on our backs before we come into Shavasana. So if you have any like props that you would like to have before you lie down, you can grab those. And so as you're making your way onto your back, I want you to bring your elbows together or as close as together as they go. And then keeping the arms bent, you're going to let them come out wide towards the floor. It might not come all the way towards the floor. That's okay. And then come on back up. And as you're doing this movement, you can feel the relaxation and contraction along the back side of the body, as well as a little bit in the pecs. One more. Good. Good. And then you can either have like the knees bent or you can have the legs out long, totally up to you. But I just want you to gently roll your head from side to side on your mat as you're lying on your back. And just eventually finding a spot where it feels comfortable. Bring the arms out to the side, like a T. And let yourself rest here for just a moment. Check in with the trapezius. Ask yourself, is there any movement that I need right now that will help me relax just a little bit more? And then we're going to come into a supported pose that we're going to rest in for just a little bit. And with this pose, the goal is to get your chest elevated a little bit higher than your head. And so if you have like a blanket or a yoga block, you can wrap that up and you're going to lie on it so that it rests between your shoulder blades, under your chest, and your head is lower. So I could still put a little pillow under here, under my head, and still have my chest elevated. Do you see how I have this little arch through my back? And I can let my arms rest out to the side. And I feel like this big chest opener, like I'm letting my heart shine up towards the ceiling. And so we don't want it to be an uncomfortable pose. And so if it is, lessen this thing that is under you. Make it shorter, smaller, softer. Or don't do it at all if it's causing a lot of pain. But it feels really nice since we've been working on the shoulders and the back to let the chest open and shine. And so, this is called fish pose. And it's just nice and relaxed, open chest. If you're ready to come out of it, you can come out of it. If it's comfortable and you want to stay there a little bit longer, you can do that as well. But otherwise, start to take out your props. And then I want you to hug your knees in towards your chest on your back, like a little ball. Maybe you rock from side to side, turning the head in the opposite direction, like a little spinal twist. Just very micro. See how small you can make this movement. And then you can start to unwind and set yourself up for Shavasana. So turn off your lights. Cover yourself up. Maybe you have a prop under your knees. Roll the head from side to side to find that optimal spot for the head and neck to rest. Maybe you place something either under your shoulders for support or on top of your shoulders, like your chest, for a little bit of weight. See if there's anything that you can do for just that extra inch of comfort. Let the eyes become heavy. Take a deep inhale. Exhale, let out a sigh. Again, inhale. Exhale, you let the shoulders sink. Relax. Last deep inhale. Sigh of relief. With every exhale and inhale that you do, let it be gentle, natural, and bring in just a little bit more relaxation. And start to imagine a writing utensil, whether that's a pen, pencil, a magical wand. And whatever you have is filled with golden light. We're going to be making an outline of your body. It's like you used to do as you were a kid, drawing chalk around the outline of your body. Start to take this golden light, starting at the top of your head, starting to trace around your body, passing by the ear, the neck, and you notice the different shades, the different hues of the golden light as you pass by, going across the shoulder, down the arm, and so on as you make your way through the entire outline of your body. Continuing making the outline. You notice how thin or thick your line is. And maybe it varies throughout the line. And maybe you go back over those spots that were a little dull in color. Or you ask yourself, why is this a little darker? Without judgment. So just let the answer be what it is and move on. And if you're finished with the outline of your body, all the way around, you start to notice as you take those gentle inhales and exhales, the lines of your body start to ebb and flow, starts to waver, coming in a little bit more towards the center of your body, like slow waves rolling in. And as these waves roll in towards the center of your body, you can feel things like joy and gratitude creeping into your body. And after a while, your whole body is filled with this golden light, gently moving with the flow of your breath. Letting it reach places that might be a little bit more difficult. And soaking in all of the goodness of the golden light. Start to take some deeper inhales and exhales. Wake up the body a little bit. Maybe wiggle the toes or the fingers. And before you move, you start to plan out how you're going to roll to your side to rest, and then eventually up to a seated position. Moving when you're ready. As you're making your way to seated, you can keep the eyes closed or have a soft gaze towards the floor. Let's do a little bit of those arms, the sun salutation. So take an inhale, you lift the arms up. Exhale, hands come down towards your heart center. Inhale, lift the arms up. Exhale. Last one, inhale. Exhale. Thumbs rest at the heart center. I wish you all love, light, and happiness. Namaste.